All right. Amen. Well, welcome, everybody. Good morning, friends and comrades, truth seekers. Welcome to Woodland Chapel, Salem's first center for spiritual living. I'm Shannon Preem, and I'm your host and tour guide this morning as Reverend Don's sidekick. You could not be in a better place right here and right now. Everyone is family here, whether you are here for the first time or you've been coming for weeks or months or even years. This is a safe place to just ponder, ask questions, explore our amazing library that has almost every spiritual discipline in Salem. I think it's a little hidden gem of resources here in Salem. And just ask anybody if you have questions. There's so many people that want to share their experience. In fact, when I was supposed to be warming up my soup today, by the way, Soup for the Soul is this morning, I was listening to a podcast by Tammy Simon. Does anybody know that name? She does a podcast called Sounds True, and she interviewed Rainn Wilson. Do you remember Wayne Wilson from Dwight on The Office? He is amazing. He's just published a book called Soul Boom, and he talks about the value of religion and connectivity. So I finally got up and made my soup, so I was energized. Is anybody here for the first time today? Every day is a first time, yeah. We've got announcements to make. As I mentioned, we have Soup for the Soul. This is a wonderful time for, speaking of connectivity. It's just $3. It's a steal. And we have 3 wonderful soups today, thanks to Sandy, who organized it. So Soup for the Soul has bread and soup, and it's right immediately following our service today. Money is for the AED defibrillator. So we can save a life here in many ways, more ways than one. And we are how far along with that? We have got how much money? Over $300, I think. Yeah, and please be generous. I think it's worth at least $5 to $7. So, yes. And I picked the asparagus for my soup yesterday. So. Next week, we will have Reverend Julie Applegate. Her topic is Lights, Camera, and Action. So maybe some of you who want to be discovered for the movies can make sure you're here. Sharing our time, talent, and treasure. Gifts to our center can be made in many forms. They come in the form of money, or they may be given through service, donations, helping downstairs after the service in our fellowship. So if any of you have special skills you would like to share, just talk to any member of our ministry team. We have a new class coming. It's called Beyond Limits. Practical Spirituality for Dynamic Living begins this coming Tuesday. What?
Yeah. There will be a hesitation on that class.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. It's here, so.
It won't be starting on Tuesday.
Okay.
We'll be letting you know in future broadcasts.
Yes. Okay.
We have one more announcement from Ruth, too.
Okay, Ruth. Yes, you have an announcement.
I'll step up here because I don't know how loud. Good morning. You all know me, and I do enjoy being here. But on Wednesday at First Christian Church, the Just for Fun singers will be singing their final concert of the season. And Carmen Bacco and I both sing with the group. It is just for fun, and that's what we are, fun. So First Christian Church, Wednesday, 12 to 1. Bring your lunch. Well, we always have cookies. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You know where it's located, Ruth?
The First Christian Church
Oh, it's on Cottage and Marion.
near Macy's.
I think that's where. Cottage and Marion. It's a big church. You'll see it.
Okay, I find our topic today really interesting, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. And so we will begin with our congregational song, thanks to Darcy and Brent. And I think she might have some additional inspired lyrics.
Yeah, it's funny, I looked it up, thinking, I've sung this since I was probably right out of the womb. And I always knew the first verse, and I thought, oh, there's probably another verse. I looked it up. There are 5 verses, and they're wonderful. It was a poem written by a woman in the late 1800s, early 1900s, right in there, Jane Taylor. They often say that Mozart might have written the music, but everyone I looked up said no. So we don't know who wrote the music, but we're all familiar. But I have words for you, and if you scan them at all, they're actually really wonderful words, and they fit very well with the topic today. So I thought we would start off with something fun. So please look in your program; all the words are there, and sing with us.
Want to stand? Any
Sure, you may stand.
Or sit.
Twinkle, twinkle, whatever works for you.
Twinkle, twinkle.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. When the blazing sun is gone, when there's nothing to shine upon, then you show your little light, twinkling, twinkling all the night. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Then the traveler in the dark thanks you for your tiny spark. He could not see which way to go if you did not twinkle so. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. In the dark blue sky you keep, often through my curtains peep, and for you never shut your eye till the sun is in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. The last verse. As your bright and tiny spark lights the traveler in the dark, though I know not what you are. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. See, there you go. Now you have more verses to sing. You feel so inclined. And you
Yes.
are that twinkling star. Thank you.
Thank you.
And if it doesn't twinkle, it's Venus.
Oh, there you go.
You know, if you've ever been at Salem Hospital and you hear that song, that means a baby was born.
Aww.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Out of the darkness into the light. So, yeah. And when you hear it twice, that means twins. I am very honored to introduce Ruth, who's going to be doing our invocation, a way to pray us in.
Yes, my name is Ruth Tenike, for those of you who are listening from afar. And so I would like to invite everyone to relax, get comfortable in your seat, and realize that God is all there is. What an amazing statement. You do know the comfort of God, the loyalty of God, the love of God. And I also know that God lives in my heart and your heart. And God is using our hands and feet and voice for the good of everyone all over the world and the universe. God is all there is, and all there is God. I know that during this time of fellowship together, there are things everyone needs to know, individually and as a group. And I know that this service this morning will touch each one of your hearts, and be joyful in it. And I know that each one here has come in the fulfillment of their one desire, and that is to be God. And I release these words into the law of love, knowing that the law always says yes. Now, this might not be the time or the actual form that you need, but the God within knows all and gives us all the correct answer when we listen. And so I release these words. And will you join me in saying, and so it is? In your program today is an affirmation. Please join me in speaking it. As I begin to function in this realization of the oneness of the universe, I can feel the shift in my human consciousness. So in all that I do, I look for ways I can benefit others as well as myself. This is a shift from me to we. Yes, we are all one, and so it is.
Thank you, Ruth. Just the sound of your voice puts me in the right space. I'd like to introduce Michelle for our inspirational reading this morning.
I know everyone keeps going on that one. She's taller. I'm going to read out of the Science of Mind, but before that I just had a quote that I came across, and I wanted to just share it from a book called The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. When we believe in the obstacle more than the goal, which will inevitably triumph? So that spoke to me, so I thought I wanted to share that one. And this one is from Saturday, May 20th, and it's called Revealing New Possibilities. We live in a universe filled with infinite possibilities, so more is always available to us. Chris Michaels, Your Soul's Assignment, page 58. As we think into this universal mind, we set a law in motion, which is creative and which contains within itself a limitless possibility. Ernest Holmes, Science of Mind, page 263. I don't know, it says .3. Never seen that before. As devastating as it has been, the COVID-19 pandemic cast a light on some overlooked possibilities. One example is opportunities for people with disabilities, a largely underemployed population, to find meaningful and gainful employment. The work-at-home pandemic mandates made it much easier for people with disabilities to be employed. From March 2020 through the end of 2022, employment of those with disabilities went up almost 25%, and their unemployment rate dropped 5.8% in November 2022, the lowest since the government began keeping statistics. The option to work remotely has been a total game changer, Mason and Marie, an associate professor at Rutgers University, told the Tribune News Service reporter. Why hadn't people thought of this before? It seems an easy solution. Thousands of companies quickly pivoted to this option for all employees with great success when the pandemic called for it. Often it takes a huge challenge for people to start looking for creative solutions and new ways of operating. It's just human nature to do things the way they've always been done. But what if we engaged in this always available, innate creativity routinely, even integrated it into our modus operandi? Just imagine the possibilities. This is what the practice of spiritual visioning does. We get quiet, ask what the highest and best is for our lives or a particular project, and then we listen as that beautiful influx of divine intelligence flows forth. The affirmation is, I make consulting my infinitely creative partner in creation, Spirit, a daily practice, reveling in the new possibilities that unfold as a result.
And to say next we have special music from Darcy and Brent would be redundant. They're always special.
Oh, goodness. Well, I'll tell you, one of the best things I ever heard from anyone was that there is no separation of the God Spirit, and that they said, you are the hands of God. Everything you do, for good or bad, is a representation of what you think God is. And it was like, oh, that's a lot of weight. And then I thought, no, it's a lot to keep in mind, even when I don't feel like it, even when I'm not sure that it should be me. You know, I am that. And in this song it says, you are the light of the world. Slow, slower, 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 slower. You are the light of the world. You are the light of the world. But if that light's under a bushel, it's lost something kind of crucial. You've got to stay bright to be the light of the world. You are the salt of the earth. You are the salt of the earth. But if that salt has lost its flavor, it ain't got much in its favor. You can't have that fall and be the salt of the earth. So let your light so shine before men. Let your light so shine, so that we might know such kindness again. We all need help to feel fine. You've got to shine. You are the city of God. You are the city of God. But if that city's on a hill, it's kind of hard to hide it well. You got to stay pretty in the city of God. So let your light so shine before men. Let your light so shine, so that we might know that kindness again. We all need help to feel fine. You've got to shine. Go, Brent. Yeah. You are the light of the world. You are the light of the world. But the tallest candlestick ain't much good without a wick. You can't have that fall and be the salt of the earth. So let your light so shine before men. Let your light so shine, so that you might know some kindness again. We all need help to feel fine. Know you're the light. You are the light.
right.
Right.
And speaking of light, for our main attraction, a man who twinkles.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
One of the biggest stars I know in the galaxy, Reverend Don Kerr.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm out of quarters here. No, never mind. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you. Yes, the light of the world. And I say, oh, yes, you know, the dark sacred night and the divine play of light on the day. You betcha. There we are. If you have, I know you have, every one of us probably has done this. We've experienced these moments when we're in a place where there's no artificial light. You know, artificial light was gone. It's just you and the night sky. And the night sky was that deep, 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 deep dark. You remember this for the rest of your life. Just how bright and how full and the sky was with the stars and the planets and the suns and the Milky Way. You know, it's something that no starship in Mother Earth could ever reach in our lifetimes. And I remember when it first happened to me. I was an older character. I was like 13. Yeah, I was a character in 13. So there's a metaphysical truth in all that. The metaphysical truth about and physical facts too, about the light and darkness. And that is that the brilliance of each star is illuminated and magnified by darkness as its companion. Not as an opposite or a competition, but as a companion. And there's a reason for that. Someone said that the beautiful glow of the star calls forth the deep riches and richness of the night as they actually function in co-creation of the magnificence that is crisp, sharp, and shining. The stars that you see, and you can feel that. You can feel it. You feel like if you stood out and that happens and you see that Milky Way, you feel like a star child. Oh, gosh, I can feel it right now. But you don't have to analyze it. What you see, it's a spiritual moment, is what it is. You just take it in. But somehow, something divine almost stunned you to silence, is the way I remember that. Just didn't want to talk. Wanted to stand there and feel. And if you've ever experienced that, you know what I mean. So that is a fact. And the fact is that the light and the dark do coexist together. I think they cradle each other, really. Just kind of hold each other in their proper place, in support. There isn't one without the other. Without light, there's no darkness. Without darkness, there's no light. To chase away, they call the darkness. But at first glance, you know, they do seem to operate independently. It seems that way to me when I think about it. Because I'm in my human tendencies, and we have these human tendencies to latch on to dualities, don't we? You know, light and dark, big and small, in and out, hot and cold, all those kinds of dual comparisons, so to speak. But metaphysically, we see beyond first appearances. And we do that with inward sight. Something inside of us sees something, feels something. I call it spiritual sight. That's simple. Using spiritual principles and what physical sight is blind to. You remember when Reverend Moore stood here and talked about the spectrum, if we stretched it across here from wall to wall, what we could see would be just about like that. The rest of it, gamma rays, infrared rays, all that light was blind to our sight, except with instruments. We have these special instruments. If we had these special instruments and use them, then we know it's all there. We've discovered that it's much unseen, but it does exist nonetheless. So, just to stand in deep darkness and then look up into that night sky and see the darkness fade into the Milky Way galaxy, the stars and the planets and the suns feeding the solar systems, the sky alight with, I keep talking about that, don't I? I haven't forgot that. The sky alight with stars, we can get that's a sweet example of the rich companionship that darkness and light have together and apart. Now, wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice if we could understand and experience that kind of a relationship in our life, of the relationship of a companionship for our spiritual growth and our human struggles, which they all exist between and within our emotions and with pain and suffering in our darkest feelings in our mind and body when we have those and they come over us. Wouldn't it be nice to have such a spiritual grasp of faith, to know without a shadow of a doubt that no matter how far down we go a dark path or how much pain we are in, we could still know that with spirit, with God, with the divine, have this divine knowingness that the universe always sees for us what is best for us and holds us and every star twinkle to add to the wholeness of all creation, to the wholeness of our life, and that all is well, whether we know it or not. All is well. It sees for us a companionship that exists between our temporary pain and suffering and that wholeness of reality that the truth is, all is well, no matter whether we know it or not. We keep saying that. In any of these moments of dark time and pain upon us, it's still working in place for our place in the greater scheme of things. And really, all is well. Now, I think I might have a couple of pleasant little interjections here today for a couple of moments. Most of us here today know of our field correspondent for the Sunday services and our person who introduced the morning to us, Shannon Preem. Well, Shannon has found a song that may just fit into our message of today. I need to take a drink before I go on with that. Okay. Mm-hmm. And she and I would like to impose upon your time and your patience, you're such a gracious congregation, to share some amateur music with her voice and mine in a song that is titled, All Is Well. Let me get my guitar.
I'm going to apologize in advance. I'm not a vocalist.
Okay, now
It's my first public appearance.
we'll see how this works. Need a special chair here. Put my foot on it so I don't drop my guitar. And as you know, this is my girlfriend. Her name is Taylor.
Oh, I thought I was your girlfriend.
Well, this is one of my many girlfriends. Okay. Oh, I think you can hear this. This is called All Is Well, and it's done with love, but it's also done with trepidation. I've actually experienced some of this.
All of us have, I think.
Well, I dove into the dark, and I swear I almost drowned. But I could see the stars looking up as I was sinking down. All is well, all is well. Heaven and hell, wherever I go, all is well in my soul. All is well. Well, I landed in the light, and my eyes could finally see the darkness in my mind was the path to set my spirit free. All is well, all is well. Heaven or hell, wherever I go, all is well in my soul.
All is well. It's the smoke, it's the flame, it's the ash, and it's the rain. It's the burn and wash away, it's the change and it's the same. All is well, all is well.
Heaven and hell, wherever I go, all is well in my soul.
Time will tell and I will know all is well in my soul. All is well.
Heaven and hell, wherever I go, all is well in my soul.
All is well.
No applause is necessary.
Thank you. Should we do that again sometime? Should we? Well, not right now, but I mean,
We're on a roll. No.
we'll do a quartet.
Well, thank you for accepting that as from our heart, our heart to yours. But let's stay with some spiritual reality. This coming back to spiritual reality. Our truth that we preach and teach here in this house of immense faith, and I say house of immense faith because it does take immense faith to look in what appears as hell in the eye, straight in the eye, and ask us to embrace heaven in our hearts, they're dear to us, and say, no matter what, all is well. From our spiritual viewpoint, science of mind I'm speaking now, we appreciate the levity of light and the depths of darkness to bring balance and wholeness to the picture that we're seeing all the time. Wholeness. Now, I'm not talking about dark holes, but wholeness, the fullness of life. Wholeness embraces all the aspects of truth. Truth. The real understanding to healing. That's what truth is, Truth. Every single aspect of truth. And doing so, wholeness does this from both sides of the appearances, first appearances to the rest of the story. I state these facts of life. For example, I'll give you here an example. Most of us have been socialized to believe that light is good and darkness is bad. Probably it's because of darkness's association with unknowns and mysteriousness and all kinds of things, but that's how we were raised. We create a villain out of the darkness and then objectify the light, which is called out by those. Actually, we call that out in this teaching that we have. We call it's spiritually growing up, to call it spiritual bypass. You know, I think we can say, of course, spiritual truth is that the light and the dark coexist, and they support one another. We can't appreciate the dawn without actually knowing and witnessing how it just kind of eases in and gently from the space of darkness begins to become. It's been described by the author of, her name is, listen to this name, Sunshine, Michelle Coleman. Isn't that a great name, Sunshine? Sweet Sunshine, Michelle Coleman has an article of Light with Shadows, it's called, in the Science of Mind magazine of this month. If you read it, some of the things I'm telling you here is right out of there. She says, watching the dawn is a little like observing a shift change that passes the baton from dark of night to the early morning light of day. And eventually, evening will circle back, and it begins to fall into the various shades of fading light and colors, into the darker and the darkness which soon becomes the deep richness of night. Darn, that sounds poetic, doesn't it? I love words, people who write words like that. And that's when the bright stars of light twinkle best across the sky, when the dark becomes. And see, the illusion that we fall under is thinking that one may seem to be overpowering the other as light and dark exchanges their states of being. But actually, it's just a balancing act of states of beings, like life, our darkness and our light times. Actually, one can't be seen or known without supporting of the other. And that's a fact. That's a scientific fact, and it's a spiritual fact, too. When we can approach both, we kind of accomplish an understanding that light and dark is needed to create the balance and the wholeness of something. And we're not talking about just sunrises and sunsets and lights and darknesses. I'm talking about wholeness is all about all life encompassing. Wholeness has the balance and the equilibrium in all life. And that's what encompasses all of our life experiences with light and darkness. Not just contrast, but it's about balancing. You see, wholeness is not just about I guess it's like this or that, a binary. You call it a binary situation. It's not about this or that. It's about or them or me. It's rather we're talking about all encompassing. We're talking about both sides of this and that. Both sides of us. I think it's called inclusive. That's the word I would use. I didn't see it written here, but like taking a drink, that balances out everything in me. You know, I keep talking about the water. When I take a drink, this just doesn't taste like good water. Didn't come from a bottle, I guess. If you boil the water downstairs, I can make tea out of it and drink it well. Just love it. But if I drink just the water, it tastes like a pipe or something. All is well. All is well. Well water. That's what we need. No well water. Thank you very much. Okay. You know, a teeter-totter and a balance scales, they got to have an equal balance or the whole thing is skewed. But here's a sweet little secret. I want to tell you a sweet little secret. No, I don't want to tell you that joke. I want to tell you a sweet little secret here. As long as we're on our human journey, this is what it boils down to. We're seeking the purposes and joy for living. We're trying to find out. We're trying to rediscover our divine self, or how to be efficient co-creators. When we start learning about this science, about we can be co-creators rather than just victims of life, puppets on a string of life. No, we are co-creators with our divinity. We're trying to figure all that out and discover that. Our human experiences are going to find this dark and then the light and give us opportunities that are just tucked away right in there, hidden away in the problems and all these challenges that we're all going to face being a human being, what we come up against. And part of the way that's shown us is as soon as we address and embrace, now have you heard of this before, what is called our shadow self. Shadow self. Now, that shadow concept, by Carl Jung back in 1917 was brought out to talk about that. It's defined as the accumulated, repressed aspects of the self, of us, what we think about ourselves. And it mostly begins, science facts, it mostly begins in early childhood. It's when we begin to repress what's acceptable, it isn't acceptable to our parents, or later to teachers, or later to all kinds of authority figures, and even our buddies, our friends. They don't like this about me, so we kind of tuck it in. And we begin this usual journey of seeking understanding, light. We want light at the end of the tunnel. We want to see that. We want light to help us see. We want candles to light in the light a darker room. We want to seek out light. We want to avoid the shadows, especially anything tucked away in our closet inside of us. And we begin. Here's a little mistake, I think. This is my opinion now. This is taken by many of us who consider ourselves spiritual. I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual, Okay, sounds good. So we take this Pollyanna approach to everything. And boy, am I guilty of that. Always a positive thinker, always always up, because I thought it's only the right way to be. Now, it's not any wrong way to be, I can tell you that. No, no, no. It just lacks wholeness. Wholeness, yeah. Now, it's a way of avoiding the hard work of moving beyond our spiritual bubble. You see, I'm finding that healing, it takes time. Now, there's instant healing, of course. We know how that works in some ways. Pardon me, more drink here.
Do you want this one?
Well, I'll finish this off, thanks. There we go. I think healing takes determination and a willingness to be open and vulnerable. Pardon me, but I'm going to have to cough here, I suppose. I'm being vulnerable now, folks. Pardon me. There we go. There we go. Yeah, thank you. I hear another cough. But okay. There's another one. Anybody else? Thank you. Okay. Darn, that feels good. Okay. Yeah, being vulnerable, to be open for change. That's the key. I'm finding that I got to take time to dig underneath my stuff and ask why a person or an event triggers whatever unpleasantness or parts of myself that I'd just rather not, let you see about or look into, let it go show to the world. And I hope I'm learning enough to accept that spirituality, that word, demands that we look at every aspect of ourselves, not just the Pollyanna part. Now, I'm going to tell you, I do implement spiritual practices. I meditate. I've meditated since I was 24, every day, in some way. I pray, and I treat, and I affirm. This is essential work, but it's sometimes called maintenance work for our sanity, or for our soul, because the soul knows that's what's good. But there's something existentially necessary for us to courageously explore, excavate a little bit our darker sides, our shadows, and just see how and where we can change them, transform them into conscious paths leading to something that's a lasting enlightenment, awakening, an awareness, and deepen our intimate relationship with what we call God, whatever that may be, what I call God. Basically, it's bringing all of us to the light and then bathing all of us with unconditional love, including ourselves. Can you love yourself? Do you really love yourself? Now, that's how we can face and treat our wounds. All wounds, no matter how great or small, repairing any trauma it's not stuffing it back down where it's crying and calling for us to take a look and see and love and treat us and treat it. No, the path to treating darkness in our lives is to examine and heal. We really heighten our relationship with God when we face and treat our wounds. Go ahead, just dive into the pain and learn the truth about ourselves, who we are, and what we're made of. It sounds a bit scary at first. It really does, even unbelievable. But we can grow more spiritually. I don't know if everybody can believe that or not, but I think we can grow more spiritually when we do things that seem wrong in the human sight, but in the spirit sight, in our soul self, it truly ends up revealing leaps and bounds of spiritual growth. I know it's best that we always use wisdom in our behaviors, but wisdom isn't always what someone else decides what's best for us, or told us what we should do or should not do. But mindfully, consciously pushing beyond that comfort zone and living life fully, out on the edge. That's where the rim of the wheel meets the roads of life, out on the edge. A life where we can experience oneness with God. Yeah. A life where we embody the many beautiful and amazing qualities of the divine source. And why is that? Because it's about change. Because change is always on the edge of discovery. And change acts as a stimulus for spiritual growth. Well, how many times do we hear this said around here? Change your thinking. Change your life. Yeah, we say that for a reason. It isn't just a slogan. It has become a slogan. If you hang around long enough in spiritual circles, you're going to hear the talk of doing shadow work. It's called shadow work because it hides or blocks out light. And remember the scripture saying about not hiding our light, right on? Matthew, Gospel of Matthew, Jesus, I'll quote it right here. I've written it down because I've heard it different ways, but supposedly out of this Gospel of Matthew, Jesus said about light, says, nor do they light a lamp and then put it under a bushel basket. It's set out on a lampstand where it gives light to all in the house. Amen. Thank you. You remember reading that, I'm sure, in some way. So one way we hide and hinder our light of spiritual progress is by identifying ourselves with our wounds. I'm a victim. Damn it, they're going to ruin my life if they keep this up. That's too much money. I'll never be able to afford that. One way we hide is to do that, by identifying ourselves. Instead of using our wounds or acknowledging our wounds, yes, okay, I see you, to deepen our relationship with our true nature. What's our true nature? It doesn't mean perfect and complete nature, I'll tell you that. But it does mean our whole nature, who we wholly are, the wholeness, our whole self. And we can't find our wholeness through some created persona to present to the world stage. It's a false ego energy that we use if we believe that we're the person we show to the world and use words such as minister, okay, employer, doctor, writer, go-getter person, or calm person. No, we all can get attached to this self-image that we're building of ourselves and to go to great lengths to protect it and defend it, even being unaware that we're doing it. My God, I'm unaware of a lot of things, but yeah. Sometimes it really takes a shock. It takes a catastrophe to force us into letting go of such an identity. A common human event to stop an attachment to self-ego image is illness. Nothing levels our playing field like that, or a loss of some kind. But here's what it comes down to. Here's where I'm coming down to. As I close, I want to say this. When we discover our own North Star, and I believe we all have one, I believe I've discovered mine. It's that one that our soul self is always urging us to follow. That guiding star becomes a part of our journey's purpose, a journey as a human being, a spiritual being having our human experience, all that woven together in the wholeness of who we really are, all are. Why we've come to earth, why we were given birth. We're going to find it easier and easier as we explore that to take all the emotional injuries, no matter how painful. We will become our own healers. We are doctors of our own soul, because our North Star is our true self that knows how to allow us to face pain. We can start one step at a time. And a good first step is to listen to our heart trying to tell us, no shame, no shame, no shame in the game of life. You aren't doing anything wrong. Your mind, your emotions, your body is doing right now what it only knows right now. No shame in the game of life. There's only shame in the games that people play with their life. That's what it comes down to. No, so believing in shame, no. Here's the secret little step. The next time you find yourself maybe upset at a loss, or uncomfortable, or in despair, or triggered by something, don't look the other way. Don't stuff it in the closet and say, okay. But try to draw upon one of the most powerful statements in spiritual history. Yeah, I like to think of this as the most powerful statement in spiritual history from spiritual leaders. Repeat to yourself the words that are spoken by that great teacher of life, Jesus. He advised that it is done unto us, as we believe. Believe, not wish or want, but what we believe. Look and examine the underlying what my belief is. And look at that wound and go ahead and try to be an observer like a doctor. Understand it's a natural to fear if we don't understand something. But being awakened to the truth that our pain of emotions and body are deeper beliefs about darkness and light. And somewhere along the way, we've come to believe we're supposed to hold pain or emotional upset as things to hide from others. We'll tuck it away, we'll endure. We'll just take it on and we can do it. I'm strong. The truth is, there are others who want to help. There are others who will help. Being vulnerable is not weakness. If we can see that our emotions have so much to offer for helping to shift our perspectives and open to receive, be open to receive. The universe never leaves an empty space unfilled. We've heard that in our teaching so many times. And for us, by making room, purposely making room for both light and dark, the pain and the pleasure, the hurt and the healing, we enrich our experiences of living life fully out loud. Yeah. We're singing, we're dancing, we're screaming, we're in pain, we're in pleasure. And all is worthy of our living life out loud, opening the doors to our closets and airing them out. What kind of beliefs have we got stored in there, huh? What do I believe, really, about that or this? Author Ryan Holiday wrote that wonderful thing that, Michelle quoted this morning. I just love this. He asked this, is when we believe in the problem, the obstacle, more than the goal, which do you believe will triumph? Yeah, I ask you to just repeat that power statement for closing this message. It is done unto me as I believe. Can you repeat that after me? Because you believe that, you know that is the truth, that it is done unto me as I believe. Together, let's say that. It is done unto me as I believe. So what do I believe? Something very powerful in us is trying to connect us back to our source, God, and reassures us that all is well. All is well. As Shannon sang it so well this morning, all is well. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Moving along. Doctor of Truth.
More music.
Yeah.
Sweet songs.
Oh, goodness. I've been sitting here trying to I usually listen and try to think about what it is that I glean. And one of the things that has been pushing in my life a lot is the fact that the light and the dark are perceptions. And what I believe about them, like Don said, is what triggers me. And one of the things that I got a chance to see yesterday was my neighbors brought over a little tiny baby. He's about about 6 months old. And I was thinking, it's amazing. And my belief in the fact that the world is good for him is what's going to make his world okay, no matter what. And so this is the song that fits, for me, what I was hearing Don talk about, because I have to believe this in order to look at some of those dark places and some of those light places. It's called What a Wonderful World. I see trees of green, red roses too, and I see them bloom for me and for you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day and the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, and I watch them grow, and I know they'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbows, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, and I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Oh no, I know, it's a wonderful world.
Ah, 'tis a wonderful world. It's what we make of it, is it not?
Yes, it is.
That's what I believe. It's what we make of it, is it not? What are we doing now, Shannon?
Money.
Money, money. All right, this is the time we show our appreciation.
Our love appreciation.
Yes, our love and appreciation. There's a spot in this program here, we actually honor this intention we have of supporting this wonderful place we call our spiritual home,
Yes.
chapel. And in one voice, we can just say this together. It's the offered
find love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. There's Michelle.
Go forth and multiply.
In your program, this beautiful song called Blessed Always. William taking his.
Great song.
Blessed always, blessed always, for the arms of God surrounds us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say Amen.
That song, Blessed Always, really says a lot. We are blessed always simply because we know that we are in the divine embrace of God, the love of God, always. And you have explained to yourself that this is the truth simply by just giving of what you felt like giving today. So from the heart of this place that I call my spiritual home, to your heart, I want to say thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your light and your love that you show every moment that you're here. God bless America and all the outlying possessions in each one of us forever and ever and ever. Amen. Okay. We have a benediction we do each. Would you lead us in that, Shannon? The benediction? It's in the program. And it also starts out. The light of God. And why don't we stand and say that? Because it gives us empowerment when we stand and present it to the world.
Yes, ready. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
All is well, whether we know it or not.
All is well. Peace song. Peace song.
Okay, now we have our peace song. Come out into the, as a kind of circle.